Hello my friends and welcome back. It's nice to have you here. Put together a really cool painting that we're going to do today. Lots of fun, cool mountain, sky, lots of cool colors. So paint along with me. Of course, before you do, please hit that subscribe button so you can get all of my painting stuff as it comes on. Hit the notification bell and you'll be notified. So, but let's jump into it. Paint along again, like I said, paint along with me, or just watch and have fun with it. Hope you learned something, and we'll see you on the other side. Hello, my friends. How is everybody doing? I am happy you could join me tonight as we're going to put together a nice little 16 by 20 painting here. I'm actually going to paint one that I did a couple years back, maybe with some different colors, but kind of the same composition. So looking forward to doing that again. I did it probably 3 years ago, and I think I can do it a lot better, but the composition was cool. So we're going to jump into it. Not too sure again exactly the colors. See, I'm sure we'll throw a bunch on here, but to start with, we're going to put some Cad Yellow, some Pthalo Blue, and some Crimson in the sky. We might add a little red in there. I'm not too sure. We're going to play it by ear and see how it goes. So let's grab I'm going to grab a 1-inch brush for my sky. Okie doke. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to use my Paint with Bram brushes, most of them tonight. So we're going to go into, and by the way, highly recommend these brushes. These are great. Soft, pliable, tough when you need them to be. They hold their shape very well. Great brushes. So we're going to go into some straight Cad Yellow. Okay. And our light, I think on this we're going to have come from this side. So maybe right here, we'll do something like this. Okay. I'll bring a little bit of that down here too. Take it right off of there. Okay. Now, I'm going to wipe this brush. Get some of that yellow off of there. Just some paper towels. Alright, and then we're going to go into some crimson. So we'll pull a little bit of that crimson out. Just a little bit. Tap it in there. It's nice to tap it because that kind of distributes your paint evenly instead of getting gobs on there. So just tap that out, okay? And then we're going to come right above this, maybe in this general area. Kind of go around it. And in there, like that. If you rock these strokes a little bit, you can give a little more impression of clouds in the sky. Okay, something like that. We'll blend all this out. Okay, and then we don't need to clean the brush. We'll go right into some Pthalo Blue, and we're just going to tap that. Okay, and then we'll come up here to the top. Kind of do the same thing. Kind of come around that. Whenever you're doing these, it's good to leave a little bit of white sometimes in between your sections of different colors. More color. We'll bring that down. Maybe something like that. Glare going there. And maybe this blue comes around. this. I'm also going to spill, here, let me clean my brush. I'm going to have some water down here too, so. But I don't want to put that in yet because I may not get to it till later. So we're just going to take a little bit of this. It's a little too much. And this crimson. One second. Wipe a little bit of that off. You put something not too heavy, just take a paper towel, wipe it away. Also works on spreading it out a little bit. That's all. Okay, come back here again. And we're just going to drop a little bit of that color in under here. Bring some of that crimson into the blue a little bit, gives us a little bit of a lavender color. Okay, good. Now, come back with a clean, dry 2-inch, or you could use a 1-inch. 2-inch, you cover a little more space. This is a Kevin Hill. I like this for blending as well. So the yellows, we don't really need to blend the yellow too much. But then we'll just come out here. And again, we're going to knock down the edges between the colors. And working our way out. Down here. Most of this will be covered down here. Not too concerned about that at all. Come over here. Now I'll get to the intersection of the blue and the crimson. Okay. And work our way out. A lot of glare there. I wonder if that's glaring on my camera too. That's not too bad. Okay. All right. Bring this down a little bit. Okay, I'm going to come back with a little more blue. I'm going to darken this up just a wee bit. Yeah, when that blue hits that crimson, it really makes a nice color. But it'll also eat that crimson up, so be careful. All right. I'm going to add a little more crimson in here. Make it a little darker. There we go. Back with that blender. Again, knock off the edge. And gently bring it all together. And go across. Careful, grab that blue into the green. Just throw in a little more color here. Although, again, I think most of this is going to be covered. But if it's not, we're good. Okay, and then the blender again. And we're just going to kind of blend that out. Okay. Okay, so here I've mixed up a little bit of crimson and blue, as you can see here. Much more crimson than blue. And to see what color you got, you just steal a little bit of white. You can stick it in there and you can see what a nice lavender color. And that'll be for some of the clouds that are maybe in the distance. And then we've got some titanium white here for our clouds as well. So the first thing we're going to do is put in some distant clouds, and then we'll work our way forward. So we're going to, oops, kick my stand. There we go. So we're going to use a filbert brush. And you could use a fan brush or whatever you like. I'm going to use my Paint with Brand filbert. So we're just going to get some of that on here. And we're going to start off way back here in the distance. So who knows, maybe there's just a couple little floaters back here. Like that. And we'll blend these down. Maybe somebody's getting closer. We'll put a little nub on them. There we go. These are off in the distance. Come in with our blender. I'm just going to kind of draw these out. There we go. Maybe a couple of these back here. Top on him. Okay. Okie doke. Now we'll come into some with the same brush. I cleaned it off just with a paper towel. Now we're going to go into some white, and it's got a little bit of a purple tint because of where it was. So we're going to come in here and start building some closer clouds, a little more defined, a little bigger. With that brush, just kind of bring it up, over. Okay, maybe here. Paint. It's okay if you pick up some of that undercolor, that's fine. A little more color. So then we're going to take our little brand blender brush, and we're just going to knock out the bottom of these clouds a little bit. Just stir them a little bit. There we go. Same thing here. Okay, now we're going to come in with our Ram 1-inch brush. I'm going to pull some of this paint out and then just tap the top corner. Okay, this is going to be for our closer clouds. So we're just going to tap that top corner. Get a nice even distribution of paint. Okay. Just the top. And we'll put a couple bigger clouds here. Get a little more color. Okay, let's come up here. And we're going to blend out, again, just the base. Little circles. Okay. Then we can fluff him. Perfect. And then gently across. Good. Get some more paint. Again, just the top corner. All right. Maybe this one. We'll cut in front of this one a wee bit. It comes off the top of the page. That. More color at the top. Okay, back to our blender. And again, we're just gonna gently blend out that base. Leaving the brighter color on the top. Good. And just beating the brush to get the extra paint off of there. Okay, and then we can come through here and gently fluff when you're fluffing, a little circular stroke, barely touching, just a couple hairs. Just lifting the top of the cloud really. Okay. And you can go across. Careful when you go across. You don't want to, sometimes when you go across, we smear the cloud left to right, and we don't want that. You got to be very careful with that. Okay. I'm going to redefine this edge that comes in front of him. Let me bring it out just a little bit. And then blend it down. Good. I don't want to touch that. Okay, back to our 1-inch brush. Get a little more color on there. Okay, and let's decide maybe where this next cloud will be. Maybe he's right here. And comes down this way a little bit. And bring him across over here. Good. Okay, and then grab our little blender, our big blender, and we want to sneak in here without touching that bottom cloud. Didn't leave myself much room. That's okay. I'm going to blend this down, and I'll touch up that top. Bring it back over a little bit. There we are. Just to define that edge against that cloud. Good. You can go back, and you can even add a little highlight on the tops of these here and there. Yeah, maybe he cuts in front like that. It's a good way to add a little depth to your cloud. You can come back, like I've done this one already. See, we've done this. We can come in here, see this, and just add a little hook there. And that kind of divides our cloud. And you can do that a couple times, wherever you'd like. Not too much. And when you do that, you're going to come back. I'm going to use this soft blender here and just take out that a little bit. There. Same thing over here. Just knock that bottom down a little bit. Okay. Now, let's see what we got. Let's stick another one in here. A little more white. Okay, let's see now. It goes right off the side. Okay, back with our blender. And again, just blending out the base. Try not to touch the top. And then we'll fluff him just a little bit. Give him a little lift. Okay, I'm going to come back with my filbert in here. Just touch up a couple round edges here and there. And we'll do that all the way across maybe. Again, we're just bringing out some of the tops, little depth, little body in the cloud here and there by adding some lines. Good. I don't want to touch him too much. Let's see here. Okay. And again, we're going to come back with our blender. And we will gently just stir it a little bit. Beating out a couple brushes here. Lift, lift, lift. Just giving everybody a final fluff. Good. And then gently, gently, very gently across. You don't want to disturb it. You just want to set it in a little bit. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to go back and add a little bit of white on the tops of some of these. I don't like this super dark color here. So I'm going to come in here and just bring in a little bit of color on the top. A little white. Yeah, I like that better. Just lighten these up a little bit. Lighten them up. Don't worry about the ones that are way back there. But just a little color on some of these. We'll blend these out. Okay. All right, good. Now we'll come back with our little soft blender. Soft as a baby's bottom. And just gently take a little bit of this down. Okay, good. That one we can just kind of do that. Just do that. Okay. Excellent. All right, I think I'm going to bring one more cloud. Let's tap this out a little bit. Again, just our 1-inch brush and some titanium white in the top corner. Okay, so we're going to come in front of this guy a little bit. Maybe he tails off that way. All right. I'll come in with our blender brush, 2-inch. And again, just knock out the bottom and leave that happy top. I'm going to get a smaller brush to squeeze into that section. Maybe I can do it here. There we go. Very little blend. And then we'll lift these. Just a gentle fluff. And bring them down. Okay, now we're going to put some mountains in. So for that, I'm going to use my Bob Ross Mountain Mix here, which is just basically a mix of all your darks. So we're going to pull some of that out. Okay. And then we'll cut off a little roll of paint. And that's going to allow us to create. I'm going to cut off some of these. That's okay. So let's see here. Maybe our first... Maybe our first peak will be right here. Come off. Nice scoop in him. Okay. This guy maybe sits a little lower. It's important when you're doing your mountains, try not to have all your peaks the same height. Try to vary them. Okay, so maybe that comes down like that. Okay, and then he sits off over here. Goes off that way. Okay. So basically all you're really worried about here is we're trying to get a nice top edge all the way across. Bring this up a little bit. There we go. So get that clean top edge. And we're going to scrape this extra paint off of here. I don't want this mountain big, so we're going to do our best to keep it reasonably small because we got a lot of stuff to put in front of it. All right, so maybe like that. Okay, so we'll get this excess paint off of here. I'm going to scrape it. We don't want this mountain coming too far down here. We want it more in the distance. So just scrape off all the excess paint. Scraping off the excess paint is going to make our next step in the process easier of highlighting. Okay, good. Now when you scrape off that extra paint, save it. Paint costs a lot of money. Put it on your palette. Okay, now I'm going to use it's 1-inch brush that I used with the crimson. We'll just wipe it off. Get that crimson off of there. And it's okay if the crimson gets in there. There's crimson in that dark color anyways. Okay, now the next step is to pull this paint out. It's going to extend our mountain a little bit, and it's going to get rid of all this excess paint that's on here. So just stick it in, go up to the edge, bend those bristles, and pull it out. Okay? Just pull her down. And blend it out as you go. Grab this side, pull this way, come straight down, or however you want. We're just pulling this color out. Sneak up to the top there, see that? Pull that paint out. We don't want the mountain going much further than that. So again, just pull that out. And as I'm doing this, I kind of like to wipe my brush off a little bit. Pull that out. This guy's going to go this way forever. So just pull him out. Okay. And same thing over here. This guy will go forever this way. Just kind of off into nothing. Grab this here. See, I sneak right up that line. Be careful. and pull it. This is also a point where you can lay out your mountain if you'd like to by using brush strokes. So maybe you want this peak coming here. Maybe these two tie together. Maybe this comes down like this. So you can see our strokes are kind of going this way. So once you do that, then come to the bottom here. We're just going to kind of blend that out. You want some of that yellow showing through. And just blend this down. And again, another reason why I do it this way, pull this down, is if when you pull this color out, it's mixing with the liquid white and it's getting lighter and lighter as we go down. Well, that in itself is our mist. So we don't have to add really any white to the base of this to create mist. This gives you a nice, smooth, even mist as it gets gradually lighter as it goes down. And again, like I said, you can lay out your mountain with brush strokes. You know, maybe you want this going this way, you want this coming this way. It just depends on how you want to do it. You don't have to. And even if you lay them out this way, you can still change it. No big deal. Sometimes I don't like to lay it out because if I lay it out, it keeps me going the same one every time. I like to kind of keep it free. Now, since this mountain I want to be a little more distant, just get a shop towel like this. I just want to lighten this color up a little bit. And we can do that just by wiping off this excess paint. So I'm going to grab this and carefully pull down and get this excess paint off of here, which will also lighten our value. Oops, dropped it. Again, just use your towel. Don't worry about marks. Try not to go into your sky. And we're just going to wipe away this excess paint. It's going to make our value lighter on the base of the mountain. And it's going to make the paint break on the next step much easier by getting that color out. Okay, so you can see we got a lot of paint off of there. So we'll just go back. See, we have a lighter value, and we'll get those towel marks out of there. Okay, now we got a little lighter value on that mountain. Okay, enough. Now, we'll throw some highlights on it. And for that, we'll use, obviously, some titanium white. Let me get it away from... This here, by the way, is my mixture of 50% Gamblin solvent-free gel, and 50% titanium white. Got a little yellow in it, but that's what I had mixed initially to coat my canvas. I did not use liquid white. I used, this 50-50 Gamblin gel and titanium white. So let's get to the mountain. I'm going to use a little knife on this since it's a little further off. So we're just going to pull our white out flat. You know how Bob does it. Pull it out flat. Okay, get a tiny roll of paint. You want to go a little bit of paint. When you're highlighting your mountain, you want to hold your knife very loosely. You don't want to hold it tight. You don't want to grip it. You don't want to put your finger up here. I mean, some people do, but it's going to cause you to put a little pressure on it. So keep it very loose in your hand. And sometimes I like to use shorter strokes to get started. Sometimes I'll use the longer ones. It just depends. We want to make sure we're on the line. We want to cover the dark. Go make sure you're at least to the top of the dark so none of the dark is showing through, especially where the light's hitting it. On the shadow side, not quite a big deal. You can leave a little exposed because it's the shadow. On the light side, you want to cover it. So we'll come up here. We're going to touch. And we're just going to gently bring this down. I need a little more paint. Let's try that again. Okay, touch. And we'll bring this across slowly and up like that. There we go. Kind of like a mini little glacier. Bring it across. Touch. Short strokes. Okay, bringing this one over. Like so. Good. Let's come in here and fill this a wee bit. You want to leave these holes. Leave a lot of the dark. It's important. Okay. All right, good. A little more paint. Cut off another roll. We'll come to this peak over here. Start over here. And right along that line. Most of this will be covered over here. We just want the indication of a little white color there, a little snow. Okay, and come here. Again, cover the dark. And then come down this mountain. Okay. Again, since this mountain's distant, we want to leave a lot of dark in it. We don't want to fill it all in. So again, this peak will move its way into this one a little bit. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing over here. Let's grab it, bring it up. More paint. Just skimming. Just grazing that. Good. Step back and take a look. You always want to step back and take a look. That's very important. Your mountain looks completely different when you're standing here as opposed to when you get back several feet. All right, let's get a little more paint. Let's see here. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. The other thing is when you get lower on your mountain, when you're at the top, your strokes are going to be a little more vertical. But as we come down, you can make them a little more horizontal as we get closer to the ground level. See that? Okay. And I don't know that I'm going to put too much more highlight on there. We'll go to the shadow, and then we'll come back and see. So for the shadow, we're just going to take some of the white that we just had. We'll plop that there. Okay, and we'll take a touch of Pthalo Blue, just a little bit. Don't need much. Mix that up. I want a light color. Okay. And leave it a little marbled. So you have some white streaks and some blue streaks. Got a little roll of paint. And those streaks will be in your paint. Okay, so let's come over here. Start in this top edge here. When you're doing the shadow side, just trying to follow this top edge. Don't worry about underneath of it. There we go. See, now we got the top edge. Now we can come back. And bring that into the highlight. Here. More paint. Maybe this one's coming down here. Paint will come up here again. Follow that top line. And then just bring this in and up. There we go. More color. Okay. I'm going to come back here with a little blue. I'm going to drizzle some of this in on this right here. A little darker blue. Touch some mountain mix too. A little darker. Just drizzling a little bit of the dark color in there. Okay, that's a little better. Okay. And I'm going to come over here, and again, just drizzling a little bit of dark. I want to just skim. See that? Just skim it here and there. Good. Okay. Let's see. Let's take a step back. I'm going to have a little more here. Okay, good. Now, let's go over here. This last side. And so we'll start up here on the top edge. And we're just going to follow that down. Not enough paint. Wipe this off. Easy way to fix this. If you don't like it, get rid of it. A little stuck there. Okay, so let me show you. Okay, I'm just going to use my filbert. A little dark on it, so we're going to come back in here. And we're going to put that dark back in. Okay, that's simple. Actually doesn't look bad like that. Alright, let's get a little more of this color. I should mix a little more, I'm running out. So a little more white. Don't need much. Touch of blue. Maybe this peak, since it's the furthest away, will be a little darker on the shadow. So again, cut across, get that little roll of paint. Now let's try this again. Okay. All right, that is much better. What do you think? Okay, now I want to touch this little peak right here. Right here we need a little white. Okay, I'm happy with that. And leave these dark areas. See these dark chunks? Those are important. Those are your deep crevices. They're your friends. Okay. Let me see something here. Put in a little bit of this darker color here. A little purple mixed in. Come back with our little blender brush and we can kind of gently bring this out, bring it together. Not too much, just a little bit, just kind of bringing that together. A little bit here. Bring a little bit this way. Barely touching. Just 2 hairs and some air, as Bob would say. Okay. Okay. I'm going to bring this purple up a little bit. Right there. There, I like that. See a little blue streak? That's called a happy accident. Leave it. I just did that. It popped in. I was like, that looks good. Was not intentional. Okay, good. Now, what you want to do is, because we laid the mountain out like we did, it already appears to be misty. So we don't have to do too much here. All we're going to do is just tap the base following the lines of your mountain. So just, again, just a couple spots. We don't need much here. That's about it. Then lift up. Back the way that you came. See that? Down here, this is pretty good here. I'm not going to mess with that too much. Just blend that together a wee bit. Okay, same thing this way, just lift up a little bit. Maybe tap that just a touch. Bring that up a little bit, and then not much here, just a touch. That's it. And just bring it up and around. And there we go. Excellent. I think we're good with that. Step back and take a look. I'm digging it. All right. Okay, I'm just spilling a little more crimson right on this bottom section here. Kind of reflect what was in the sky. Knock that out. And I think I'm going to bring just the tip of this mountain down a wee bit right here. So we'll go with a little bit of that shadow color. Okay, watch. We'll just extend this down and across. Just a little further. That's it. Good. And then we can grab a little white here. Just bring that in a little bit to the bottom there. Okay, just a little more color there. That's good. That just brings that peak a little more in front. Okay. Then we'll come through and we'll tap right there. Bring it up a little bit. Bring this down. I'm going to add a little color. I'm going to tell you what, let's take a little bit of that purple lavenderish color here. We're just going to pull a little bit of that down too. Just a little bit, like that. A little more of that lavender. Under the lip. step back a little bit. Good. Let's knock that out. Okay, coming along. Get a little more white. And I want to bring this just a little bit up and over, up and over. Just a touch here. And I think that's all we need right there. Now we'll take our little blender. Come up. Okay, good. All right. Now we're done with the mountain. And a little more white here. Just want to touch this up just a little bit. Breaking that up a little bit. Okay, now we're done. On to the next step. Okay, now we're going to move on to the bottom of this. And we're going to add a little more color down here. Let's see here. Just a little bit of this purplish color. Crimson. In there like that. Yeah, let's wipe that off. Alright, and then we'll go into some Cad Yellow too. I want to spill some yellow underneath here. A little blue in there, cause a little green, so let's get rid of that. Okay, good. I'll do that with a clean brush. All right, so now we'll go back. A little bit of this yellow. There we go. Doesn't have the green in it. So this is where water's going to be too. So we're going to mix in some of that yellow. Okay, and then we'll go into some crimson. Just a little bit of crimson. Okay, we'll come underneath that. Just go across is fine. Kind of blend that out. Not too worried about the sides because we'll have stuff on there. All right, so then I'm going to wipe that brush off a little bit. Get a little bit of that crimson off, and then we'll go into this touch of blue, Pthalo Blue. really tap it out. Okay, then we'll come underneath the crimson, and we'll kind of do one of these. Go back to the edges. Very good. A little more of that crimson. A little more of that crimson in here. Good. And again, we're not worried about the sides here. This will all be covered up. We'll just pull a little color in. This we can kind of swirl in here, just to bring that horizon down a little bit. And we'll touch a little bit of the crimson for over here. Not too much. And again, this is going to be covered. Just want to get some base color down here. Good. I like it. A little more yellow. Just a touch more crimson. A little more of that crimson in that middle section. There we go. That's a little better. Quick little blend out. Okay. Now we're going to drop our land here. I think what I'm going to do, judging from my old picture, is maybe, let's see here. This will cut in about here. Come this way. Maybe here. Another piece that maybe cuts out here. A little more paint. This will come over here like this. Just giving myself a basic idea where my land will be. We can fill all that in. Okay. And the side. Get a little more. Just got some mountain mix on a filbert brush here. So this will come off this way. Okay. And on this side, maybe this comes like this. Okay. This one comes down, goes back this way a little bit, juts around, something like that. And then maybe we'll have a piece that comes in front here. We'll see. And this drops down this way. And we'll see. We'll leave that kind of open. And then fill this in. So let's get some more paint. So we're just taking this mountain mix on a filbert brush, and we're going to fill this in. And we're just filling this in. You could fill this in with whatever. Go to the other side. More paint. And again, we're just filling in the color here. Try and save a little bit of that yellow back there. Okay, good. And on this side, again, just filling in this color. Getting a good dark base. Okay, good. All right, take a step back. Okay. Now, we're going to come back, and we'll just take this 1-inch brush, and we'll pull down some of these reflections a little bit. You dip into a little bit of the black and pull that down. straight down. Good. Then we'll pull this, get these reflections out of the way. Get a little more dark color. Okay. Come to this side. Pull this down a little bit. Pull this down a little bit. Good. Wipe some of the color off of that brush. Okay, and then we'll come back here and we'll go across. And the same thing over here. So I've added some of these background trees just by taking my fan brush and pulling it straight down. I'm going to clean up some of these top edges. Okay, and you can see what I did by making some tall and going shorter. It looks like they're coming to us and away from us, even though the line is pretty much straight across. So when you're doing these, back here, just tiny little strokes. We want a little bigger. We can even go a little taller here. And I don't want to go too much, but maybe here. Okay. And again, just varying. Now I'm going back and putting some clean top edges so our tops look nice. Good. Again, just putting some nice clean top edges on these. That'll all be covered over there. Let's go back in here, a couple spots. Now what I did here is where I put in that dark color, I just put some shop towels and pushed it into that black paint to pick up some of the oils. It'll make it a little bit easier to highlight after you let it sit here for about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. So we'll check back. Okie doke. Let's carefully pull these off and get them away. All right, you can see, grabbed a lot of paint, and we'll reuse these for wiping off our brushes. Okay, now that we have that, we're going to start adding a little bit of our grass we'll have coming through here, work its way forward, and we'll get that in before we drop our foreground in over here. So for that, let's see. We're going to dig into just a little bit of this mountain mix, just to get a little dark on the brush, and then we'll come up into this yellow. Okay, we'll pull some of that yellow down. And we'll dip into a little bit of this liquid white mixture I have down here. This is a mix of half titanium white and half Gamblin solvent-free gel. And that's what I used for my liquid white mixture. Again, 50% titanium white, 50% titanium white, and 50% of the Gamblin solvent-free gel. And that makes a nice liquid white. And I use that on the entire canvas. So for this back section, we'll make it a little lighter. Let's see what we got and see if this works. I've been using lately a fan brush for my grasses. A lot of times I'll use my 1-inch brush, but the fan brush makes cool effects too. And this is a Bob Ross 6, believe it or not. And it's very small. It's one of the ones when the company made them their quality was not so great. So that is actually a 6. It's very small, but it's flat at the top. It's not as rounded, and it actually works out very well for the grass because it is a little more flat on the top compared to, some of my other, for example, my Kevin Hill, which is very rounded, and of course my Bram, which I will use as well all the time. It's a great brush, but again, very rounded. That's these are that same size compared to that. Interesting, but we'll use it. So let's go back here, and we'll start at this furthest point, and we're just going to touch maybe once there, just like that. And this is very distant. Let's get a little more color on there. When you're doing things like this, to push your brush into the paint, and you'll get a little ridge of paint at the tips of the bristles. And that's what will come out here. And this is going to be a little lighter. See that? Just touch. I'm just touching. When the color stops coming off, it's usually time to reload. And you're going to pick up a lot of that dark color under there. So careful of that. And wipe your brush time to time. So again, I'm going to take a little more of this white. A little more Phthalo Green, Sap Green. We will put some Pthalo Green into it too as we get closer. So again, just tap in there, okay? And then we'll come back down here. Careful, decide where your land is going to be. Just don't pop, 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 and top your way through. Take a look. You got to step back. Make sure you're level. Just don't chuck it all in there. Okay. And maybe when you have a new plane, you can brighten that tip a little bit. Almost like maybe little suns peeking through one of the trees. We can also tone that down very easily. Maybe this grass goes back a little further. And again, take your time. Lay out your land slowly. All right. I'll grab a little more of the white mixture to thin that paint down. And just push a little bit. Let's come here. Okay. And by putting a little brighter line here, and leaving a little darker section here. This is like a new plane in front of that one. Same thing here, here. If you do that, it's going to create a little more depth in your hills. Leave the majority of that dark. Don't cover it up. Okay. And we're just tapping. More color. And again, you got to step back a little bit. When you do a little section, drop back and take a peek. See what you got. Now, like right here, it's a little bright to me. So we can go into a little bit of add a little more sap green to the end of the brush here. I'm just going to tone this down a little bit. Actually, might even just go into some of the dark mountain mix. There we go. That's better. It's a little too bright. So you can darken anything up. You can lighten anything up. Okay, good. I'm going to wipe my brush off. So I got some dark color in there. And we're going to come to the other side. And on this other side, we're going to use that same color that we have. And I'm going to drop a little bit of Pthalo Green, just a little bit. Just going to touch a hair of that Pthalo Green and bring that up too. See how powerful it is? Almost too much. Add a little Sap Green to that. Bring it down a little bit and a little more of that liquid white mixture that we made. Okay. All right, we'll just touch that. Get a little ridge of paint. Then I like to tap that ridge out a little bit so it's not too heavy. And test it. We're going to have a bunch of things here, but I just want to get this base level of grass in here. Who knows, maybe we got like a little bush here. Okay. Yeah, I like that. And just gently tapping this. There's not much to it, as you can see. You just want to have enough paint in the bristles where you don't have to apply too much pressure. When you apply too much pressure is when you're going to get the smears and the mud. If you just get it on the tips, like that, with a nice mix, with your liquid white mix, or whatever you use to thin it, then it'll come off right on the touch. Just like this. Maybe that comes down. Because remember, your water sits lower, so your land, more paint. Fill this top in. And again, where you want to start a new plane, for example, like maybe right in here, we come here and just tap this a little brighter and cut this down in front of him and leave that darker. It creates more depth on our little hillside. So I'm just going to bring this back and we're just tapping. a lot of this is all going to be covered, so I just like to put it in and have a general idea where my grass and land is going to be. And again, here's another spot maybe we can a little heavier. And we're going to have bushes and trees over here, so. And then a little darker as we get to the corner. Good. And again, if you think something's a little too bright, you can just come back a little bit of the dark mix. In this case, it was the mountain mix. And you can just kind of gently tap at the base of it, just to bring it down a little bit. Maybe spread it out. Or add a little dark. See? Like the brush. Okay. Maybe this guy comes out just a hair. Little bit of brightness there. Your light's coming from this way, so maybe it's a little brighter on this side. And again, just gently filling this in. I'm not worried about that really. Okay. Then we can come back. We're just going to use our little brand blender brush, and I'm going to grab a little bit of that green and pull that down into the reflection. See that? Gently across. Good. And a little bit up here, not much. Pretty far off. Anything there? A little here. Take a little of that off, a little bright. Good. Okay. Okay, now we'll come over to this side. And let's see. A lot of this will be covered. So we just want to kind of gently put in a few of these lines back here so that we have an indication that there's some grass back there for anything that happens to be showing through. And again, most of this will be covered up, I do believe. But we're just going to put it back there. And then maybe this peninsula cuts in front, comes out a little bit here. A little dark. Okay. Wipe that dark off my brush. Grab a little more of that liquid white mix into our green. All right, so yeah, maybe this cuts over here, comes in front. and darker over here. And again, we're going to have some bushes and trees everywhere. So again, so we'll come down here, pull a little bit of this green. I know we did it once, but I want to get a little more. Just a little bit. Same thing here. Just a little bit. Pull a little more here. Using the side of the brush. It has some of that green left. There. Okay. Then come back with that little blender and just gently diffuse it a little bit. Gives it that watery appearance. Same thing here. Not too much. There. There we go. And I think we can go up here now and cut in some water lines. So some of this liquid white mix we got, just see that? Just a small end of your knife. And I put it on the top, especially for back here, because we don't want too heavy of a water line. So I wipe most of that off. As you can see, there's not much on there. So come back here and carefully, and we're just going to scrub back and forth, but gently. Okay. Just in a few spots. Something like that. Not too much. It's a little heavy there, but that's okay. And then you can also make little inlets that come off of this. So maybe this line goes back. And then this one, put a little bit in front of him. So it looks like the water kind of recedes. And again, just a little bit. Okay. It's very important when you do these, keep your strokes horizontal. Don't go like this, because your water will look like it's running down. Try and keep them horizontal. Even though you're going down, still go straight across as you go down. It happens to all of us where it doesn't always work out quite as well. And maybe they're a little off. That happens. Okay. That one cuts back behind him. If anything's a little too heavy, just wipe your knife off completely. You can even dab into a little dark, like this one's a little bright, and just kind of rub him away a little bit. Stretch him out. Okay, good. And he goes back there. I'm not going to do a water line here yet, because we'll have some more things going in there. Probably have, maybe I shouldn't have done those too, because I am going to have a couple trees, I think. We shall see. I'm also going to add a little more reflection here, a little darker in the water here. Should be a little bit darker. We can add some more green too, that's no big deal. And we'll have some trees reflecting here too. Grab our little blender, pull it down. Okay, and then we'll go across. All right, now let's start putting some trees in. Okay, let's see. I think we're going to have, maybe we'll have a couple back here. A little closer. Get a lot of paint. And we're going to just use our fan brush today. And just touch. Oops, use this corner. Use it a little further away. This brush to do our line. One here. And we'll put one maybe here. Okay, good. A little bit closer. Maybe he's out here. And just using the corner. He covers him a little bit. Bring up this side hair. Make him a little taller. Okay. Those distal ones are difficult to do with a small brush. Bring the base of this down a little bit. There we go. Looks a little better. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to go to the other side. And I think I'm just going to use my brand filbert, even for the distant ones. It seems to work a little bit better. So maybe on this side, we got one that's a little closer. Maybe it's here. Comes down in front of these. He's a little crooked. A little bit crooked. Bring him over this way a little bit. All right, load up some paint. And we're just going to gently touch. A little more color. Good. Straighten him out. He's a little crooked. All right, that's better. It's got a little curl in him, but that's okay. Bring that base down. Out there. Okay, very good. And then we'll keep moving forward. Let's see here. Maybe even a little closer. That's about there. Down in front of him. Maybe a little closer. Okay, very good. Step back. Okay. I think over here, we'll stick with the theme of our filbert brush. And then maybe here we're going to have, we'll have a taller one here. Oops. Okay. And maybe we'll have one here. He's a little shorter. Maybe he goes there. And maybe he's here. It just breaks the horizon. A little taller. Okay, good. And let's load up that brush. So maybe he's the most distant tree. So we'll start with him. And we're just tapping from the center out. And kind of just going a little bit wider as we work our way down. And this filbert makes nice hanging down branches. Maybe he goes right to about there. We're going to put some bushes and such in front of him. Pull that out a little bit. Okay. And he will be to the rear of this front tree. And a lot of this will separate with the highlights. Good. Okay, and now this last one, I think we're going to put him in front of these two. More paint. Reload as often as you need. Again, here we're just filling in because we'll separate the rest of this with our highlights. He'll come a little further down. Okay, good. All right, let's come to the other side. All right, let's see what we want here. Let's put one here, just breaking the horizon. Oops. Okay, let's come up here, make it a little bigger. More paint. And again, this filbert does really cool hanging down effects with your trees. Although I have used the fan a couple times recently, and that's been nice as well. It's just different effects. Comes about there. Okay. And maybe we got one big one here. He sticks way up in the sky. And again, just a sloppy guide to follow down your tree. Okay. All right, here we go. From the top down. Touch. More paint. Flip the brush. More paint. The biggest thing is take your time. When you're painting, make sure it's as good as you can make it. And the easiest way to do that is really just by taking your time. Don't rush through your paintings. And we'll bring him all the way down in front here. He'll come down here. On this little plane there. Okay. Now we'll take a step back and take a look. Alrighty, so let's put some highlights on these trees. And we will use pretty much the same color we used for the grass. So let's go into some of that white, liquid white that I made from the Gambling mix. More yellow. And a touch of that, just a touch of the Pthalo Green. Okay. Just tap forward. Okay, let's see what we got. Maybe we'll come over here. Starting this one back here. Knock a little paint off. Just touching. Try not to slide your brush. We're just touching. And this basically is getting this outside edge of this back tree. Okay. Good. We'll give him a couple touches here. A little more color. Here, just a touch or two. Same thing here. Not much. And then we'll leave those, nothing on those. Okay. And as you pick up the dark, and we've got this dark color, so as you're highlighting, you're going to pick it up. You can see here, I got it in my palette. So wipe your brush. Touch. Okay. Now let's go to this back tree here. And he's going to have a little bit. Again, our light is coming from the right. So our little highlights will be on the right. And then the rest of him is going to be kind of covered. So we're not going to do much more there. Maybe in a little bit. We'll see. So let's go back in. And now the star tree is the one that's in the front, which would be this guy. So touch. More paint. And we're just bringing him down. Good. And we're going to have some bushes in front of him, so. And then this back half, again, the light's here, so the back half of that tree is not going to get too much light. There might be a little spot or two, but just gentle back here. Mostly dark, as well this will be mostly dark back here. Maybe there's a couple little visible things going on there. But that's about what we're going to do for that. Not much more. And again, because the sun is right and kind of back. So let's wipe our brush and get that dark off. Okay. Touch a little more of that white. Always keep your paint thin for your highlights. Okay, maybe a little more yellow on this side, since it's closer to the sun. Tap, and then again, once I load it, I kind of like to go over here and do this so I don't have a big goop on the end. So this one might, it's going to be in silhouette, but it might have a little shining through on both sides here and there. Maybe a little over here. Good. There's really going to be a lot of, oops, way too heavy. That's why I tapped my brush off a little bit, and I didn't do it there. So let's take care of that. Oops. Let's go to my filbert that had the dark. And let's just darken him right up. Gone. And again, what I did there, I tapped into my color. I didn't touch here. And I had a big glob of paint. When I hit it, that's what you got. So kind of load up, and then come over here and kind of tap it out a little bit so you don't overdo it. You can always add more. Some more color. Tap it out, and this tree will get darker at the base. And again, I think we'll put some bushes in front of him. Down here is very subtle. All right, let's go back to our color. Grab a little more white. Tap it in there. Tap it off a little bit. Let's see what we got on this tree. Excellent. And do his sister. Just a couple here. Couple here. Just a few. Okay. Very good. Now this guy, grab my other filbert. All right, this guy's going to reflect as well. Use okay, so we're going to reflect that tree in the water. So just load our filbert up and basically just come in here and doing the opposite. Here we push down and reflections will push up. It's just going to be a dark spot here. We already kind of had it already there. So there, and then maybe this one will also, he will come. We should see him as well. And these guys are a little bit further off. I don't think we would see those. So just like that. Okay. And we'll take a brush, a little blender, and just gently pull that down. And again, it was already there. I just need to thicken it up a little bit and go across. All right. Now on this side, I am going to put a peninsula here, but this tree might be showing through a little bit on its reflection here. And again, I think we're going to have a peninsula coming across here, so just want to get the base of this right here where it's not part of another piece. So we'll pull that down. And again, all this will be covered. Back. Across. Okie doke. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in some dark in spots for our bushes. So we'll just go into some of the mountain mix and just tap your corner of the brush into that. Get a good amount of paint on there. Okay. Now let's come over here. We'll have some bushes in front of this. Again, this is just the dark. So maybe we'll have one that's here. Okay. Got one in front of him maybe. Comes up and down. And let's see here. Maybe here. And he comes like that. And who knows, maybe let's put one here too. And we'll reflect all this down too. A little bit there. And again, we're gonna actually, I didn't even need to do that because we're gonna have a peninsula here, but it's good to know it's there. So yeah, all this is gonna be painted in. Okay. And on the other side, again, more paint. Let's tap that corner. Let's see what we're going to have here. We'll have one here. Okay. And then maybe we have another one that will be here. Covering up our edge there, but that's okay. And then more paint. Let's see here. Maybe we've got something back here. And we'll see, we might put some more there, but we'll definitely have some here. But let's just fill this in. So here, I'm just going to fill this land in. A little bit like that. And we'll come back to it, but I want to throw these highlights on first, and then we'll move forward. All right. Before I do that, I want to bring this land down further. I want to bring this maybe to here. A little further. Like that. I'll pull this down. Across. And I just want that land a little bit lower. brush. The fan that had the highlights, so we'll tap into some of that yellow green, Pthalo Green mixture. Okay. And we'll bring this right over top. And down. Okay. Good. Now we'll go back to our blender. And we're just going to pull, again, some of this green down. And go across. Pull a little more. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit on my brush. Just a little bit. A little heavy. Gotta be careful. I want to add a touch. There we go. That's better. Wipe this brush off and then go gently across. There, just to pick up a little more of that color. Okay, so let's put some bushes in. I added some crimson down here, some sap green we had, a little more fresh cad yellow, sorry, and some red. I got a liquid white, our old green. So I'm going to try and keep my bushes kind of consistent a little bit with the sky colors. So we'll go into a little bit of this liquid white, and we're just going to touch the brush, just get a little bit in there, and bring it to our crimson. Then we'll pull that crimson out, and we will, let's get a little more color. There we go. And we're just going to tap the top corner. We'll see what color we got. Okay, let's go over here. Remember, our light's coming from this way, so we want the right side of the bush to be the brightest. Over here will be much less. Good. Let's get a little more liquid white in there. We'll come back and we'll touch these tops with a little more bright. There we go. Okay, so for this next bush, I think I'm going to use a little blue and some liquid white on my brush. We'll come up this pile of blue and we'll pull this out. Make it a little lighter, a little more liquid white. There we go. All right, so we'll tap that in to the top corner. I'm using this as a half round. You could use a 1-inch brush, whatever you'd like. Let's see. Just using the very top corner. I'm going to touch. It's a little dark. I'll put a little more white in there. Okay, so add a little more white, liquid white, so we can lighten this color up a little bit. Let's go back gently over top. That helps. Darker to the back. Maybe it comes down a little bit. I'm also going to bring this guy down a wee bit too. So I'm just tapping straight into some Bob Ross Bright Red. If you can see that. Right here. Okay. Let's go down here. Let's tap these boys out. So let's put some red. And we'll put a little bit of that into the water. Good. And we'll also put a little bit of this blue. This little section is going to get cut off by our peninsula, but a little bit will show. So we'll just drop a little bit of that in. And let's see. Grab our butter. Well, let me see here. Do this one. I'm going to put one more bush in here. Let's go with this lighter pinkish color. A little bit of this pinkish color here. And drop him in as well. And with our little soft bram blender, gently down and ever so gently across. Okay, very good. Now let's come back so we can finish that line out with a little bit of this liquid white. And it's okay if a little bit of this blue is in there too. Just going to get a little bit cut in our water line. So let's see. Too bright. Knock some of that color off. Not that much. Soft like that. Good. All right. Now we can fill in this area. So we just grab our brush that we had, and this is gonna just push up some stuff here. Bit sticking out like that. And I'm just using this brush because it's what I had available. I washed a couple. There we go. And we'll just block all this in. You get the color down. But then I like to go back over it like this just to get that texture. All right, good. Okay, now before we fill in this, we're going to jump over here and highlight some of these trees and bushes, or bushes I should say. So let's go into, let me think about what color I want to put over here. We got to continue those blues because they look cool. So let's go into the blue pile. A little more liquid white. Make these super visible. All right, so we got this liquid white into this blue, and we're just really tapping it in there. Okay, let's see. I got a little glare here, so I want to be careful. Remember the lights? We're on this side. Good. Okay. Back into this blue. Tip of that loaded. And let's go out here. Maybe he's here. That. And we'll come in. Some of this red. I'm going to put a touch of the liquid white into it, which will make it a little pink. Okay, let's come here. Now I've got some of this crimson and a little bit of blue to make just a touch of blue in it. Okay, let's come right behind him. And leaving the dark in between, but setting him in there. Okay, and then we'll reflect him. Okay. And we'll reflect a little bit of the blue gal. Need to bring him down a little bit too. Maybe another one right there. And need a little hem here. Just a little bit. We'll fix that. And then just a touch of the blue under here. Not much. Now we got to sneak in with our blender. Add a little more color here. Carefully. All right, now we can drag down. Good. And we'll redefine this edge coming out. Maybe we'll chuck some grass there. Okay, to clean that edge up, went down too far. So I'm doing this again with just the grass coming to there. So we'll have a water line, which we're going to put in after we highlight our last bush. Okay. We'll go for the straight red. Just tap it into some of that straight red. And we'll come here. And then drop some of that color down here. Okay. And we'll take our blender. Gently down, and gently across. Okay, let's put a water line in on this side. So maybe we'll start this. Let's see here. This comes back like this. Moving that outline a little bit. Wipe my knife off. Bring this one down a hair. And we can create these little inlets here just by your water lines. Let me step back. Okie doke. All right, let me pull this out a little more. Blend it down. It's a little too bright. Now let's say maybe we'll put a little path in here. So maybe path will start back here, kind of work its way down like this, getting a little wider to about here. All right, so for that, we'll take some dark sienna, a little white. Dark sienna and a little white. A nice marbled mix. Maybe we'll throw in a little bit of this reddish color. There we go. Okay. Cut across. And we'll just kind of lay him in. Oops. Maybe a little more paint. Good. All right, now we can kind of put some bushes and stuff around him. Okay, so we're going to go into our bright red again. If you guys know me, you know I like my red bushes. So let's tap that top corner into the red. All right, let's put some bushes here. So on this side of this path, maybe we'll put a big red bush. Like that. And as long as we got that bush out, or that brush out on those colors, we'll add a little more to it. Maybe down here. Okay. Maybe here. Let's see. Going back into these blues. I'm going to add much more liquid white to it and get that color a lot lighter. Again, so just with our half round, I'm mixing a lot of the brushes up. Let's get that color in there. Okay. Now with the brush that I got the red on one side, I'm going to use the other corner and go into some of this more lavender. Let's see if we can pick up some of this blue and dump it in there. Get a nice lavender color. Let me scoop this up with a knife a little bit. Make a little more color here. So crimson, a little bit of this blue. I'm just mixing some crimson and some blue here. We're going to get a nice lavender. Okay. Then with the other side of that brush that had the red, I'm going to go into a little liquid white. Okay. Tapped it here and then go into that lavender. Tap it in there real good. And maybe in front of this. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, and I'm going to take this little fan brush, had a lot of this black, and go into some of this greenish. Who knows, maybe we got some little grassy areas sticking up here. Yeah. Good. Okay, let's see. Definitely want some of this grass coming over the path a little bit. Got a couple little thingies sticking up here and there. Just some grassy things along the edge. Okay. Just going to take a little bit of white on this fan brush and just throw in a little bit of highlight. And come in here. Add a little dark. Okay. Now, in this bottom corner, go back into the blue. here. Off. Okay. And then back into our red. So we'll come over him a little bit. Let's see here. Let's see here. Just extend him up just a little bit. There we go. Okay. Now our path looks like it kind of shoots off to the side there. All right, let's see what we got here. Come through. And we can add a couple little sticks in here. Not too many. And the same thing over here. Get a couple sticks. I think I'm going to leave. It's just cool to leave a couple of these not highlighted. Yeah, I think that will work. All right. I think we will call this a finished painting. I may, as always, tinker with it a little bit after the camera goes off, but this is basically it. So hope you had a great time. I had fun painting it. Hope you try it. Anybody can do this one. And we look forward to seeing you the next time. Take care, my friends, and all the best. All right. I hope you had fun with that. Please send me a picture of what you did. I'd love to see it. You can hit me up on my messaging on my social media pages. I'd love to hear from you. If you have a question, by all means, please ask. So again, hope you had fun with this. Can't wait for the next one. And happy painting to all of you. And we'll see you next time.